Hello everyone, my name is Bryce D'Souza and today we'll be discussing the ethics of remote work for Ethics 351. So to preview this presentation, we're going to start off with overviewing remote work as an issue, and then we're going to move on to analyzing the 5 ethical lenses. From there, we're going to discuss a resolution and how we can apply ethical framework to remote work, and then we'll end off the presentation with a conclusion. Remote work has become one of the biggest issues in today's workforce, especially after the pandemic changed how people view jobs and productivity. Before 2020, only 6.5% of workers worked from home. That number spiked during the pandemic and has stayed constant ever since. It's a hot topic because it touches on so many areas, things like work-life balance, fairness, and how technology continues to shape our daily lives. Some industries have seen real gains in productivity with remote work, while others worry about losing collaboration or creativity. For example, Elon Musk and other major business leaders argue that remote work hurts company culture and innovation. For me personally, I see the benefits clearly. As a student, being able to take remote classes saves me a long commute, time, and stress. And in a bigger sense, it opens opportunities for people who might not be able to work on site. Overall, remote work isn't just a passing trend, it's a part of how technology, well-being, and business are coming together in the modern world. When done right, it can balance productivity with people's happiness, which is why it's such an important ethical issue today. Ethical egoism teaches that people act morally when they promote their own self-interest. In the remote work debate, both employees and employers act from their perspective. Employees often choose remote work to save time, reduce stress, and improve their work-life balance. On the other hand, employers sometimes support or reject remote work based on whether it helps productivity and profit. For instance, business leaders like Elon Musk argue against remote work because they believe it hurts collaboration and innovation. But for employees, working from home may clearly serve their personal well-being. Ethical egoism helps explain why this issue persists. Both sides act rationally, but for themselves. The problem is that egoism doesn't provide a collective solution, only insight into why self-interest drives both parties' decisions. Ethical relativism argues that morality and truth depend on perspective. What's right for one group might not be right for another. In the remote work debate, this helps explain why employees and employers view the issue differently. Employees often prioritize flexibility, reduced commuting, and a better work-life balance. Employers, meanwhile, focus on teamwork, oversight, and maintaining productivity. Both views are valid within their own framework. For example, some companies emphasize trust and autonomy, while others rely on strict monitoring to protect their business interests. From a relativist standpoint, both are correct relative to their goals and values. However, relativism struggles to solve conflicts. It can describe moral differences but not decide which is right. In the case of remote work, it teaches that understanding and compromise are necessary since each group's values shape its ethical outlook. Utilitarianism is a consequentialist theory that judges the actions by their outcomes, specifically whether they produce the greatest happiness for the greatest good. You could apply this to an issue like the trolley problem, where we're faced with the decision of killing one person over multiple. Applying this framework, you would kill one individual over two, three, four, five individuals on the railroad tracks, but I digress. In the remote work debate, this means companies should adopt policies that maximize overall well-being, not just individual benefits. Utilitarianism comes in different types. A rule utilitarian view supports general policies like hybrid work because they increase the happiness and productivity across most employees. In contrast, ACT utilitarianism focuses on individual cases, which can be harder to apply consistently. Preference utilitarianism is also would also fit well here because it values people's informed preferences. If employees are happier working remotely and productivity stays steady, that outcome benefits everyone. Overall, utilitarianism helps organizations see that flexible or hybrid models often produce the greatest overall good, balancing employee satisfaction with company success. So for this part, I'll be talking about deontology. This theory focuses on duties, rules, and moral obligations instead of consequences. It mainly comes from a philosopher named Immanuel Kant, who created the idea of the categorical imperative, meaning we should only act in ways we'd want everyone else to act. For example, Kant said it's always wrong to lie, even if it could save someone's life. This shows how deontology gives moral clarity, but it can also be strict since it doesn't consider outcomes. In remote work, this theory is about honesty, responsibility, and fairness. Employees should be truthful about their hours and stay productive, while employers should treat remote workers fairly. So overall, the focus is on doing the right thing because it's right and not just because it works. Virtue ethics looks more at who we are as people, our intentions, emotions, and habits, not just what actions we take. A virtuous person acts out of good character and sound judgment, and they're guided by emotional awareness. Now, when we think about remote work, virtue ethics fits really well. It encourages integrity, self-discipline, and balance. Workers should take a responsibility for their time and stay productive even without someone watching over them. Temperance helps keep that balance between overworking and slacking off. For leaders, it's about showing compassion and fairness and creating an environment that supports teamwork and moral growth. Virtue ethics reminds us that work isn't just about output, it's also about relationships, trust, and integrity. Overall, this approach gives a more balanced view and a human view of work. Instead of relying on strict rules, it's focusing on developing character and values that help both people and organizations flourish. Aristotle's ideas still make sense today, especially in the digital workspace where honesty and self-discipline really matter. To wrap it all up, I think utilitarianism gives the best overall approach to remote work. It focuses on the greatest good for the greatest number, and hybrid models really capture that by balancing flexibility, teamwork, and productivity. Ideally, you would want to take a piece of multiple frameworks, especially in my case with this topic. For example, we could uh, take some pieces from deontology and virtue ethics and add that into utilitarianism. It just makes the resolution that much better. Deontology keeps things fair and honest, while virtue ethics encourages trust and discipline. Together, they create a workplace that values both relationships and results, and not just one or the other. Concluding this presentation, remote work is more than just a shift in how we work. It's an ethical issue built on trust, fairness, and responsibility. Each ethical framework gives us something important to consider. Utilitarianism focuses on making choices that benefit the most people, while deontology reminds us to stay honest and uphold our duties, even when it's not the easiest route. Virtue ethics pushes us to build good character, teamwork, and respect. Egoism shows that when used responsibly, personal motivation can help people perform better, while relativism reminds us that what's considered ethical can depend on culture, context, and perspective. The best approach isn't about choosing one theory, it's about combining them. When we do that, we can build workplaces that are productive, fair, and human centered. In the end, the success of the remote work really depends on the ethical leadership, leaders who value people just as much as performance.